Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about a really affordable Flieger that is really rather impressive, but it does have one rather large flaw, which I will go into. The watch is a mere $130 on AliExpress, and I think it's proof, as if there wasn't enough already, that you don't need to spend a lot of money to get a really great watch, and something that definitely punches above its price point in most, but not all, categories. So with that all said and done, let's get stuck into this Hroudland Flieger. So starting with the sizing on this one, now it's a pilot's watch, so it is a little bit larger. It's 43mm in diameter, which I'm fine with. The lug to lug is 52mm. Now that is pretty much on the limit for my 17.5cm wrist. Bear it in mind, if you have a smaller wrist, this might not be the one for you. It's 12.4mm thick, so 22mm lug width. It is of course a sapphire crystal, and what's nice is that despite the fact that it is a Flieger, it's got 100 meters of water resistance quoted, so that's always a bonus with this style of watch. Looking a little bit closer at the dial with this one, now I went for a sterile dial. This is like a kind of sunburst blue. It's actually very nice when it catches the light, and it does look rather elegant. Now typically I wouldn't go for a sterile dial, but I think on pilot's watches, because of the history of the Flieger, I think it actually looks pretty good. And the other thing is, I don't really like the brand name Hroudland. It just sounds like a little bit of a mouthful. Now one of the really unique things here is the running seconds. It is a set of fan blades and a spinner like you would see on a commercial aircraft engine. And as an aviation geek and as somebody who works in that industry, I really rather appreciate this detail. Now I can't give Hroudland credit for this because actually it's IWC who, as far as I know, were the first people to do this sort of design on a second hand, but their watches are the price of a house, and the ones that had this particular design detail as a running seconds are incredibly rare. So in this case, I don't mind that it's not perhaps the most original, because I'm going to be honest with you, there's more chance that I will be struck by lightning than get my hands on one of those IWCs. For the rest of the dial, there's not much to say if you've seen a Flieger watch before. The indices are applied, which is good for the loom, and then the numerals and the minute markers are printed on the dial. Full polish on the indices and full polish on those sword hands, and really nice legibility as you'd expect for a Flieger watch. Looking at the case finishing, and it punches for its price. Definitely it looks and feels better in terms of the quality of the brushing and the quality of the polishing. They are definitely better than the $130 price tag on this one. There is one larger issue with the finishing, but we'll come on to that a little bit later on. Just before we leave the topic of the case finishing, something that's nice to see at the price point, which you don't always get, is some nicely defined and well polished chamfers there. They add a little bit of intricacy to the design of the case and stop it feeling so slab-sided. These small polished accents just give it a little more visual intrigue and elevate it and make it feel a little bit more premium, rather than the more utilitarian full brush everything look that some of you might prefer. Crown is really important on this watch because it's hand wound. So it needs to be big, it needs to be grippy, and it needs to be really tactile and nice to turn. And all of those things it is. It's got some nice detailing on it, and yes, it's as grippy as it looks. As I mentioned, it is a sapphire crystal on this one. The AR coating is reasonable. It's a highly legible watch anyway. It's obviously not like a Breitling. You don't have that top and bottom AR coating, so it's not completely invisible, and you will pick it up on a cloudy day. You know, you'll see the glass, but considering how legible the watch is overall, no complaints with the crystal on this. Now if we turn the watch over, it gets a little bit more interesting. Inside this watch is a Seagull ST3620 movement. Now that is a pocket watch movement, and I think there's not many watches under 42mm in diameter that would fit this movement in. So it's well suited to larger watches. Because it's a pocket watch movement, you've got a large power reserve. This is 55 hours. It's a clone of an older ETA, the 6498. As I mentioned, it's hand wound, 17 joules, And in terms of performance on this, I'm getting around plus 8 seconds per day, which I'm assuming is unregulated. But what's more interesting is that it's got very low variance from different positions on the time grapher. So that's quite nice to see, because often with cheaper movements, the variance across different positions is quite high, even if you've got a reasonably good reading, for example, in the dial-up position. And of course, for me, I have it on this bund strap, so I don't really see inside the movement. But for your $130 US, if you don't have anything with a display case back, it's actually rather pleasant to look at, and I can't see any obvious FOD or debris or contaminants. Just a quick note to say, if you're enjoying today's review, please don't hesitate to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification icon so you get a notification whenever I upload a video. It does take a little while to make these videos, so your support and your help is really much appreciated. That said, let's get back into this Hroudland FLIEGER, and let's summarize the pros and then look at the major flaw that I found with this watch. It's nice to see a homage to a watch that is as rare as hen's teeth. So most of us are never going to get our hands on an original, and this is a great option for a similar look. I think it's really well finished. I think it stands up under macro. I think the QC has been also very good. I haven't found obvious FOD. Everything is assembled reasonably quickly, so I'm not expecting it to compare with $1,000 Swiss watches and up. The loom is really good on the applied indices and on the hands. So the printed areas, they don't have such great loom. It fades reasonably quickly. But the most important thing is seeing the time, because obviously the seconds hand is really rather a gimmick on this watch more than anything else. So what can I complain about with this watch? Well, the only real complaint that I have is you can literally peel vegetables with the edges on this watch. On the underside of the case, there's no chamfers, and these are the areas where it is like a knife. And on the included strap, it came on a nice pilot strap. I couldn't wear the watch. It was literally pulling the skin off my wrist and slicing it up. And same with the crown as well. The edges of the crown are really sharp. And maybe it's just my particular wrist size, because I didn't notice other YouTube reviewers pick up on this. But then again, when I posted a picture of this watch up to the community, one of my subscribers commented that he had actually basically polished those edges to remove the sharpness. And I did consider that, but I wanted to try the bund strap first and just see if that was going to work for me. And honestly, I think it looks amazing on the bund strap. So I think that's something you need to be aware of. And I hope if they do a V2 of this watch and update it, I really hope they fix that, because it would make a world of difference to the wearing experience on a regular strap, especially at my wrist size. Again, maybe larger wrists won't have the problem. And I suppose my only other question mark on this watch is the longevity on this seagull movement. It's a very cheap movement. I think you can pick them up sort of $20, $30 a piece online. So I don't know how long it will last, but it's definitely one of those that if it breaks, you're far better off just replacing the movement, unless you want a cheap subject to learn watch repair, in which case it might be a really good solution. Anyway, enough waffling and time to draw this to a close. So to conclude with this watch, considering the price, and I do have to come back to that and put things in perspective, for that 130 US, 190 Canadian, I think you get a hell of a lot of watch here. If you've got your eyes open and you consider that there may be some sharp edges which you might have to address or put in that bund strap, at least on my wrist size, then great. If you've got a larger wrist or you get lucky and maybe not all of them are as sharp as mine, then also great. I still think it's a lot of watch for the money, but I have to stop short of a full recommendation for this watch because of those incredibly sharp edges and the need for me to find a workaround. I'll leave a link below in the description if you want to check it out on AliExpress. It's an affiliate link, so it doesn't cost you any extra, but it makes a small kickback for the channel if you do purchase one through there. No pressure, of course. I don't really care if you buy it or not. My channel is just a hobby, not a job. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please let me know what you think about this watch. If you think there's another watch that is even better in the price range, I'm always interested to hear of your recommendations. So yeah, please do let me know. I love reading your comments, and please just remember to try and keep it respectful. Anyway, I thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers.